Good afternoon, everybody. We're all friendly in LCRIG, so if you do want to squash in, it saves my neck going like this. So if you want to squash in, if not, fine. First off, I'm just saying to a few colleagues, I've beat my objective for the afternoon to have more people in this session than there will be on the panel later. So we've got there. And yeah, if you can lock the doors now, nobody's leaving, okay? Thank you very much. So I was always told not to say who I was and why I'm here, because you can read it, all right? And if you're staying here, you knew I was going to be here, so it's your fault that you're still here if you didn't want to do so. So this is a really exciting session, but I am just the precursor to the main act. In a second, you'll find out what I mean by that. But part of my role I have the pleasure, and I've had the pleasure for some years, to be part of the advisory board for LCRIG. And I came to the first session here, and it was in a cloakroom downstairs, and that was everything. And look at it now. So yeah, there's testament to that. But the ability to feed into what we've done, the ability to move things forward with the sector has always been critical, always been passionate to me. And Paula and the team and the board, rest of the board members, put up with me, my little foibles and my little anecdotes, but I promise not to mention any weird animals today. But this is AI. Why are you here? Because it's exciting. Because it's something that we all want to do. It's something that we all don't know what we want to do with as yet. And this is a follow-on from session because Paula and I did a session at the Innovation and Learning Festival during the summer. And it was a cold, wet, rainy field in a tent. And it was the last session of the last day. There's a bit of a theme going on here, isn't there, Paula? I'm not doing this again. Next time, we'll do it first. And Paula and I actually sat outside and we said, we might have to postpone this because there's no one here. So I said, okay, I'll just go and get my jacket and I'll go and get my laptop and I'll make my way on after this. So literally 5 minutes later, I walked back and the tent was full. And it was a really, really exciting session, I thought. I had, some great colleagues who were there, challenging questions, listening to a madman and listening to someone with unlike my artificial intelligence, someone with intelligence from Paula's conversations. But I'm surprised she's put me up here again because I did give her moments of horror. So what's he going to say next? So on that note, I have got plenty to say. We've got 15 minutes. And like I said, we're going to move on to the star show in a second. But please do stay for the session with the panel because they are the experts. They are the ones that we're all going to learn from. And I would, from their own perspective, I'm sure they will be able to learn from us. Moving forward. But anyway, I'll come back. I'll be back. I'm sorry. But what I will do now, there is an annual highlight to the LCRIG Strictly Festival. And that is when Karla Shorrock speaks. And this afternoon, now is the time that Karla is going to give her presentation. So please welcome me in a warm and rapturous welcome to the stage, Karla Shorrock, who is going to be talking, and I'll be back.
Before I start, I just want to say I've written my notes and they're really small. So if for a second I just stop talking, I'm figuring out where I am on the page. So obviously we're doing it on AI. I'm not an expert. I use it every day though, like ChatGPT. Very helpful in life. So going back to July, Sean and Paula obviously had the session in the Think Pavilion. And if you want to watch that, that's available on LCRIG's YouTube. So you should go watch that. And while I wasn't at the Innovation Festival, I've probably watched that session now about 5 times because I didn't understand it like the first 3 times. And it led me to word code the session and pick out the key things that people were thinking. And the top 3 that I kind of came up with were collaboration, conversation, and definition. More specifically, how can we foster collaboration, develop conversations, but to do this, we need to define AI. So that's what we're going to try and do first. So AI has told me that AI is the capacity for computers or machines to undertake cognitive human-like functions, and it can be categorized into generative or predictive. Oh, I think I was supposed to click this definition. And then predictive AI is like using data to forecast predictions for different things. So you probably all use like a combination of the two, but they are two different things. And then the next thing that came up was machine learning and what it actually is. And when you type that in like on different things, you get pages of like science and maths, and it's horrible to look at. So machine learning, I've tried, it refers to the abilities of AI systems to improve in its abilities. And it's actually like the overarching thing in predictive and generative AI. It like enables AI to do AI things in a way. And while that's really broad, it can help grow that knowing those two things can really help grow your conversations and help just everything. Another topic that was brought up a lot was the workforce progression and how that might change now that AI is coming into like the bigness, the big leagues. So while with AI, there tends to be a fear that there will be completely like de-skilling the workforce and that no one will know what they're doing in a few years. But really, that's not the case. So currently, machines are doing like the nitty-gritty bits that you don't really want to do that'll take you hours and hours. And it's actually allowing the workforce to become more skilled in a way, because you can then do the better jobs that are just more like needed. So in a way, the workforce is progressing in that you won't have to do the stuff that used to take you hours and hours. So yeah. And also currently machine learning, it's relatively limited and it runs on a limited memory, which means that it still needs the human input. So if you're thinking like, but people won't learn the basics, they've got to, because it's not fully there yet. It's not 100% efficient. Like, I've used ChatGPT and it's given me an answer that was wrong for like a maths question. So it's not all there. So for now, all AI systems in the sector, they allow us to be more efficient. They allow us to quickly analyse things, which previously was a manual job. And it opens up the workforce to be much more beneficial. So there. So and many of you will have been sent an email on innovation, and it will have gone, you'll have two different surveys, one for suppliers and one for the councils. And we're in the process of creating an innovation report, which is going to pull together these findings and plus some other little bits and bobs. And it's hoping to be an annual report. So these are just some of the things that we've managed to pull out, and the surveys are still open. So we'd be really happy for your responses. So the things that I've got written down are from a week after it was open. So the numbers are a bit different now. They've changed, but not by much. So after just 1 week, we already had an influx of responses that have really helped to inform this presentation. And if we begin with the views on AI, 81% of local authorities and 83% of suppliers voted that AI was within their top 3 emerging technologies from the list that we provided. These significant percentages placed AI as the biggest emerging trend in the sector, asserting its importance in our innovation landscape. And then if we look at views, through the survey we were able to depict councils are wanting to innovate, especially in the AI space. However, there needs to be a reduced risk involved, with over 60% saying risk aversion impacted their innovation delivery either moderately or significantly. So through developing conversations on AI, we at LCRIG are hoping to assist in alleviating these associated risks. Conversely, suppliers' general opinions on innovation adoption surrounded trials, with many responses from the survey highlighting that suppliers just wanted councils to trial their innovations and then evaluate them so that they can then go away and make them better. Just to help, that'll then reduce the risks. It's like a flow. And then if you look at objectives, so local councils' primary objective was that they wanted potential innovations was longevity, followed by sustainability and then cost. However, it was very close between the three, so they might have changed. This was partially mirrored by the suppliers, with longevity and sustainability remaining the first and the second priority, but the resilience became the third. This is a slide on one of the things that we've actually managed to analyse from the survey so far, and it's on AI adoption for local councils and the barriers that they think are what are inhibiting them currently. So we gave them a list and we asked them to choose 3 of the most prominent barriers that arise when they're implementing their innovations. And while it wasn't directly in focus at AI innovations, it was very eye-opening, it was more general. So the top 3 that were mentioned were procurement with 24.2%, a lack of technical skills being 16.1%, and risk appetite also being 16.1%. This is just a little teaser of what's to come. We also asked the suppliers what they think your biggest barriers are. But we're saving that. That's for later. But we can draw comparisons, and it'll be really interesting to look at the differences between councils and suppliers. So definitely go fill in the forms. They'll be worth it, I promise. And they're not that long. So we also asked suppliers if they had any suggestions for councils to maybe help increase and promote innovation and adoption. And these were the most common things that I detected from the responses. Obviously, funding was on there. That's always on there. So suppliers, they do understand that funding is tricky and limited, but dedicating a special fund towards just trialling will allow you to try more things. It'll reduce your risk. And obviously, some things won't fail. Some things will fail, but hopefully not too badly. And it's just going to happen. And then becoming pioneers of change, that was somebody else's quote, but it's anonymous. But I really liked it, so I put it on here. And it's just changing the mindset from normal. And in becoming less risk averse, you're going to have setbacks, but it creates a more open and collaborative environment. So it's better. You all did it when you were younger. You'd be at school, you'd make a mistake, but it's fine. Another thing was an innovation platform, and ideas of from a few different suppliers were it'd be really good if councils could maybe have a wish list of what they want, where implementation, monitoring and evaluations of all different trials that you do can be seen really easily, and you don't have to read a 30-page document, and it'll allow for greater adoption rates. And then finally, cost and risk sharing between councils, where trials are shared, meaning the associated risk and cost is shared, allowing for a taster of an innovation. So the value of evidence-based adoption, we thought that would be really big, and it can be vital for overcoming the barriers listed on the previous slide. They can reduce perceived risks relating to different innovations by demonstrating the benefits, and at LCRIG we want to help as much as we can to foster innovation, collaboration, and by sharing the information. So this slide lists all the different ways you can learn and share information about all things AI and innovation adoption through LCRIG. Our working groups in all different areas across the sector meet regularly and have in-depth discussions on a range of different topics. We also host webinars and seminars that provide a space for suppliers to talk through their products or service while allowing a space for questions. And then we've got conferences like this one that foster just the best conversations, and it's a bit more informal, you can just go up to someone while they're having a brew and be like, hi. And in turn, by engaging with the sector through these different ways and means, at LCRIG we'll be looking for new ways to gather and share knowledge and information. For example, through the surveys that we're sending out, we'll be exploring the most effective ways to share our findings, which may include fact sheets, case studies, and best practices, among others. So we're not going to be replicating the great work which is done by our partners, but instead we're going to be looking at new ways that are just really quick, really easy, and they're just the best things for our members. It's for you, so we want to hear from you about what's best. And ultimately we're aiming to help find the best ways to enable the sector as a whole to become more collaborative and innovative, whilst at the same time helping to encourage the adoption of innovative solutions by sharing best practices and disseminating the knowledge which can support decision making. Thank you.